The Swiss Family Robinson, Chapter 10, The Land of Promise. Next morning, after breakfast was finished, I immediately commenced preparations for our journey, warning the children of the necessity for caution and prudence, as we knew not what enemies might we encounter, and urging them to keep together in case of danger or an attack. Our first act was to load the donkey and the cow with the traveling bags containing our provisions, tools, cooking utensils, hammocks, blankets, and other useful things. All was ready, but my wife would not consent to leave the poultry as food for the jaguars. Above all, little Francis must have a ride. He could not possibly walk all the way. I soon made him a comfortable place between the bags on the back of the donkey, whilst the children ran to catch the poultry and the pigeons, but with no success whatever. Their mother, by scattering some handfuls of grain within the open tent, soon decoyed them into the enclosure, where, when the curtain was closed from the outside, they were easily caught. Their wings and feet were tied, and were all safely placed in two hampers, one on either side of the donkey. All the things that were left were laid up in the tent, which was well barricaded with casks and boxes, both full and empty. Each of us carried a bag of provisions, a gun, and some ammunition. Fritz marched at the head of our procession with his mother, followed by the cow and the donkey and his rider. The goats, led by Jack, with the little monkey on the back of his foster mother, formed the third detachment. Ernest followed with the sheep, and I walked last as a rear guard. The dogs rushed here and there as our adjuncts, making it their business, apparently, to see that all was right. As the procession moved on slowly, I explained how our Eastern fathers were wont to travel thus from place to place, and that even now the people of Tartani and Arabia and other nomadic races follow this sort of life. But for my part, said I shall be glad when our wanderings are over. Thus convening, we arrived at the bridge, and at this point the sow joined our procession. We had found it impossible to make her follow the other animals, but when she discovered that we had really left her, she hastened to overtake us. We crossed the bridge without accident, the sow grunting her disapproval of the whole affair. But now difficulties beset us. The grass looked so fresh and tempting that our troops scattered themselves right and left to feast upon it, and we should have been unable to place them again in rank and file but for the help of our faithful dogs, who, barking and chasing, brought them again into order. To avoid a second interruption, I directed our leader to turn to the left and take the way along the coast, where the tall, rank grass was not so tempting for the animals to stop and eat. We had scarcely started when the dogs suddenly darted into the thick grass, and presently their furious barking became mixed with howls of pain, as if they were struggling with some fierce assailant. Fritz hastily advanced to the spot, presenting his gun, followed by Jack, while Ernest, who was nervous and timid, ran behind his mother, yet making ready to fire in case of danger. I followed the boys anxiously with the gun in readiness. They reached the spot before me, and the next moment Jack cried out, "Papa, come quick, a huge tapir!" I saw that it was hastily approached, that he was right, and that the dogs were busy assailing it. It's like a pig kind of animal. It's like that. That's a tapir. Jack, without thought of consequences, drew his pistol from his belt and shot it dead. Then, giving way to bursts of a boyish exultation, he called upon us to help to convey this prize to his mother. Taking his pocket handkerchief and fastening one corner around its neck, he ran off, dragging it after him, to where his mother awaited us. "Look, Mom," he cried, "isn't this a beautiful prize? I killed it myself with my pocket pistol." I was not at all afraid. His mother praised him for his courage and skill, and we then resumed our march, without further incident, as we at last arrived at what we had already styled the Land of Promise. The beauty of the spot exceeded the description which had been given me, and I congratulated my wife on her discovery of this charming place. "Oh, what magnificent trees!" exclaimed Ernest. "Look at their height." "Indeed, they are magnificent," I cried. "This is truly wonderful place. If we can establish ourselves upon these trees, we may feel secure, and shall have little cause to dread the attack of any other wild beasts." We released the animals from their load, and set them free to graze with the sheep and goats, first tying their forelegs together loosely, that they might not wander off. The sow we left to do as she pleased, whilst the fowls and pigeons, to their great relief, were also at liberty, and left to choose their own retreat. We seated ourselves on the soft green turf to consult upon the arrangements for the future dwelling place, when suddenly we heard the report of a gun just behind us. A second shot followed, and in a few moments Fritz appeared carrying by its hind legs an enormous tiger cat. "Bravo!" I cried. "You have rendered good service to our fowls and the pigeons. Your friend there would have made sad havoc in our farmyard in a single night. But tell me, Fritz, how you managed to kill the beast of prey, and where did you find him?" "I saw a movement among the foliage of a tree. I went quickly and stood at the foot, and there on the branch I saw this monster. The first shot brought him to my feet, but he was not dead, and as he tried to rise, I fired a second time, and he moved no more." "You may think yourself fortunate," I said, "that the creature did not fly at you at your first shot. I think the one that you have just killed is a species very common to the Cape of Good Hope in South America. It is frequently called a margai, and is so voracious that even our sheep and goats would not have been safe against such a formidable enemy. Can we not make use of its beautiful skin?" "Indeed you can," I replied. "From the legs you can make cases for knives, forks, and spoons, and the tail for hunting belt in case you carry your pistol." This so took the fancy of the young people that they gave me no rest until I had shown them how to remove the skin both from the wild cat and the tapir. Meanwhile, Ernest and little Frank were busily employed, one in gathering stones to make a cooking place, and the other in collecting dry branches and trees for a fire. Presently little Frank appeared with his arms full of dry wood and something in his mouth, which he was eating with a great relish. "I found something so nice," he cried. "Oh, so nice!" "My child, what are you eating?" cried his mother. "It may be poisonous." Frank, in a fright, allowed his mother to take from his mouth what appeared to be the remains of a small fig. "Where did you get this?" she asked. "Yonder, in the grass," replied Frank. "There are thousands of them. The fowls and the pigeons are eating such a lot, and the one I tasted was so nice that I thought it wouldn't do me any harm." "Do not be alarmed," I said to the wife, as she looked at me inquiringly. "These trees are apparently the species of mangrove, and bear a kind of fig, which I believe is wholesome as a rule. Moreover, we may consider safe any vegetable or fruit eaten by birds or monkeys. But Frank," I continued, "you must never eat the fruit you find, or even taste it, till you have shown it to me." Frank heard my statement about the monkeys and ran off to present the fig to Master Nip, who seized it hastily and began eating it with the most comical expressions of delight. I divided the tapir in halves, one to be eaten fresh, the other salted, and the flesh of the tiger cat we gave to the dogs. Until dinner was ready, I employed myself in planning our castle in the air. I thought of making a ladder of ropes, but this would be useless if we did not succeed in getting a cord over the lower branches to draw it up. As neither my sons nor myself could throw a stone to which I could fasten a cord over these branches, which were like 30 feet above us, it was necessary to think of some other expedient. In the meantime, dinner was ready, and we truly enjoyed the flesh of the tapir, the excellent soup my wife had made for us from it, with biscuit as the substitute for bread. I'm assuming the tapir tasted much like a pig or a pork, because the tapir is that kind of an animal. Imagine the trees. The branches are so high, they can't even throw a rock that high, or a stone that could bring a rope over it. So anyway, we'll continue tomorrow. Have a great day, you guys.